96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Beaches and parks contract said to be alarming. Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister, Miles LaRota, says the DRA never paid employees NIB. And the Deputy Prime Minister and Tourism Minister promising to upgrade downtown Nassau. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, March 18th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, Controversy Week continues here on the show. This morning we are talking about prostitution and sex work and decriminalizing it. It's all straight ahead, but first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Chairman of the Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority, Michael Bonnaby, saying multiple sweeping contracts issued by the authority under the Minutes administration topped $76,000 per month as controversy continued to swirl around the authority and its past leadership. He says the contracts did not have all the required signatures and were not on the correct forms. He says the contracts had sweeping irregularities, and every contract was to bear four signatures: the contractor's signature, the witness's signature, the executive chairman's signature, and the board's secretary's signature. He said that when those signatures are fixed and penned to a contract, it's valid and binds the authority. But he says the sweeper contracts were only signed by the former chairman. Bonnaby said the accounts department should have brought several matters to the attention of the former executive chairman, Shannon Cartwright. Cartwright has come under fire after it was revealed late last year that the authority consecutively overspent its budget by millions of dollars and issued a rash of contracts ahead of the 2021 election, some of which were duplicates. Bonnaby says the sweeping contracts, in his opinion, were null and void from inception. Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister, Miles LaRota, says that since its inception, the Disaster Reconstruction Authority has not paid any National Insurance Board contributions for its employees. He says what's also concerning is that as of December 2021, the DRA owed NIB more than $168,000. He says there were no payments made to NIB on behalf of its staff. since its inception. It was established in 2019 following the passage of Hurricane Dorian over portions of Abaco and Grand Bahama. The Category 5 storm visited catastrophic damage on those islands. 7 Georgian nationals who claimed to be from Ukraine were apprehended near Grand Bahama. Immigration Minister Keith Bell confirming this last night. A vessel en route to Grand Bahama from Florida encountered an overturned vessel 10 miles off West End. And a total of 7 people were found who were confirmed to be Georgian nationals, 2 adult males, 3 adult females, and 2 children. Bell says the migrants are in Bahamian custody now and appear to be in good health. From the courts, a man accused of sexually assaulting his 6-year-old daughter has been remanded to prison. The 28-year-old of southeastern New Providence faced charges of incest, indecent assault, and cruelty to children when he appeared before Magistrate Cara Turnquest DeVoe yesterday. The man's name and address have been withheld to protect the identity of the child. Prosecutors allege that he raped his child, indecently assaulted her, and cruelly assaulted her in a manner that would cause suffering to her health. He was not required to enter pleas to the charges. Bail was denied. However, the man can seek bail in the Supreme Court. He returns to court on May 30th. On that date, prosecutors plan to fast-track the case to the Supreme Court by a voluntary bill of indictment. And expressing dissatisfaction with the state of downtown Nassau, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper says the historic area has become a disgraceful and embarrassing eyesore. As he addressed the ongoing work at the Nassau Cruise Port, Cooper said the status quo will not be allowed to continue in downtown Nassau's. Hundreds of millions of dollars cannot be complemented by areas of neglect and disrepair. Overseas, even as authorities lock down cities in China's worst outbreak in 2 years, they are looking for an exit from what has been a successful but onerous COVID-19 prevention strategy. A study in interviews with Chinese public health staff and recent public messaging by government-affiliated experts indicate that China is exploring ways of slowly easing its zero-tolerance approach, with the emphasis on slowly. The latest on came on Monday in an essay published by Zhang Wenhong, an infectious disease specialist who is part of Shanghai's COVID response team and known as China's Dr. Fauci. He issued a public health message during the pandemic. He wrote in the Chinese news outlet that the public needs to know the virus is becoming less deadly if people are vaccinated and their health isn't already compromised. Dispelling the terror toward it is a step we must take. Change does not appear imminent, though, with more than 15,000 new cases this month and multiple outbreaks across the country, as well as an even larger one that's shaken Hong Kong. For now, the government is sticking with the tried-and-true policy of lockdowns, repeated mass testing of millions of people, and a 2-week or more quarantine for overseas arrivals. Chinese officials are paying close attention as other countries relax mask mandates and other restrictions, and investigating just when and how to make the tricky transition. And as Russian forces pressed their assault on Ukrainian cities today with new missile strikes and shelling on the capital of Kyiv and the outskirts of the western city of Lviv, as world leaders pushed for an investigation of the Kremlin's repeated attacks on civilian targets, including schools, hospitals, and residential areas. The early morning barrage of missiles on the outskirts of Lviv were the closest strike yet to the center of the city, which has become a crossroads for people fleeing from other parts of Ukraine and for others entering to deliver aid and or fight. Black smoke billowed for hours after the explosions, which hit a facility for repairing military aircraft near the city's international airport, only about 4 miles from the center. One person was wounded, according to the regional governor. Multiple blasts hit in quick succession around 6 a.m., shaking nearby buildings. The missiles were launched from the Black Sea, but the Ukrainian Air Force's Western Command said it had shot down 2 of 6 missiles in the volley. A bus repair facility was also damaged, according to Lviv's mayor. In sports, the first day of action in the BAISS track and field meet getting underway yesterday after a one-year hiatus due to the threat of the COVID pandemic. The meet being held at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium had a different feel to it. It's not a championship meet like in past years, and notably absent was three-time champion Queens College. BAISS President Perry Cunningham says they are pleased to be back on the track and are grateful for Fidelity coming aboard as a title sponsor. That continues today, wrapping up today. From NCAA basketball action, March Madness, some surprises already. St. Peter's acting like it had been there before after the 15th-seeded Peacocks bounced storied Kentucky from the NCAA tournament Thursday night. They calmly exchanged handshakes with the Wildcats before heading over to the opposite sideline to celebrate with a small contingent of true believers. The tiny Jesuit school from Jersey City got 27 points from Darrell Banks III as it took down basketball royalty, beating second-seeded Kentucky 85-79 in overtime and sending countless brackets into the digital wastebasket. The Peacocks became the 10th, number 15 seed to win a first-round game since the tournament expanded to 64 teams back in 1985, and they handed Kentucky its first opening round loss under coach John Calipari. St. Peter's, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference champion, kept it close throughout, and Banks' two free throws with 1:45 left in overtime gave the Peacocks the lead for good. St. Peter's moves on to face either Murray State or San Francisco in Saturday's second round in the East region. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your first look at weather for today, high pressure generating moderate to fresh winds as it drifts eastward across the country. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should be alert for possible rip currents along easterly beaches. For all areas today, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny and hot conditions with isolated showers becoming fair and mild tonight with passing showers. Small craft operators in the southeast Bahamas should continue to exercise caution. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest and central islands, increasing 15 to 20 knots in the southeast Bahamas. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the northwest and central islands, building 4 to 6 feet in the southeast Bahamas. We're looking at temperatures getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day.
It's time for a quick break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
You're always on the go. We know life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier. Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Stephen Hanna. Stephen Hanna, good morning.
Hey, it was good.
Right here. Great to have you on this Friday morning. And we'll give you the phone numbers for folks to call in. We've got a lot to talk about this morning. But coming up, we've got more weather and traffic, and we wrap up Controversy Week. Today, we're going to be talking about prostitution and sex work in the Bahamas. What should our attitudes be about this, especially with some recommendations recently from certain groups that we need to further decriminalize this. We're going to be getting some different perspectives on this morning. And later in Morning Blend Business, more on what's going on, including the tourism minister talking about downtown, says he's going to meet with owners of properties in downtown Nassau, and what's happening in Grand Bahama. We're going to get into that as well. But let's begin with what else is in the news. And in the news, just want to quickly mention what's happening with COVID. The numbers are low. The latest dashboards of the last 3 ones that were released yesterday and early this morning. Very small numbers, two or three each day in total. But we did see in the last two dashboards a number of deaths have been reported. And these are going back to January. But in the dashboard for March 16th, 9 deaths going back to January 31st, and for the month of February, including a 53-year-old woman from New Providence, a 76-year-old man from Abaco, 69-year-old man from New Providence, another 69-year-old man, but from Grand Bahama, an 85-year-old woman from New Providence, a 63-year-old man from New Providence, 87-year-old man from New Providence, and a 41-year-old man from New Providence, along with a 63-year-old man from New Providence. And so that's 9 there, and then the dashboard for the 15th had 4 additional deaths, also for January and February, all from New Providence, a 60-year-old man, 48-year-old woman, 86-year-old man, and 24-year-old man. So it's 13 additional deaths there. So, yeah. And I'm seeing some reports about the rest of the world concerned about a subvariant of Omicron that is proving to be even more contagious than Omicron, which was, of course, more contagious than Delta, and that may become the dominant strain in the next few weeks. So, things are looking encouraging over here and in this side of the world, but you see there are outbreaks in the East, and it's not over. Just remember that. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing some of the things we've been doing to get us to this place. So keep that in mind. All right. A lot of other things in the news. Some interesting things coming out of the House of Assembly with the debate, the mid-year budget debate, and more on beaches and parks and what MPs are calling alarming contracts. Our Jasper Ward writing about this today. Chairman of the Bahamas Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority, Mikhail Bonnaby, says multiple sweeping contracts, I think that's literally sweeping, were issued by the authority under the Minutes administration, topped $76,000 per month as controversy continued to swirl around the authority and its past leadership. Bonnaby says that the contracts did not have all the required signatures and were not on the correct forms. He said in the House yesterday, quote, sweeping contracts had sweeping irregularities. First and foremost, every contract has to bear 4 signatures: the contractor's signature, the witness's signature, the executive chairman's signature, and the board's secretary's signature. When those signatures are fixed and penned to a contract, it's valid and binds the authority. But the sweeper contracts were only signed by the former chairman. No board secretary signatures are found on those substantial contracts. $45,926 per month for one contract, $11,625 per month for another contract, $12,400 per month for another contract, $6,951 per month. Staggering, breathtaking. This is Bonnaby again. Quote, my question is, where were the checks and balances where these contracts did not meet the legal standards? When the contracts were brought to my attention, having reviewed them, I was of the view that they were personal contracts, considering that there was no area for the board secretary to sign, and because the board secretary's signature was not on any of the contracts. I thought they were personal contracts. This is alarming. Bonnaby says the accounts department should have brought the matter to the attention of former executive chairman Shannon Cartwright. Bonnaby says the sweeping contracts, in his opinion, were null and void from inception. He said, quote, what I would like to have answered are the following questions. Why wasn't the board secretary's signature affixed to the sweeping contracts? Was the amounts in the contracts vetted? Did the former board members approve the contracts retrospectively? Why were these lucrative contracts not returned to the chairman via the accounts department when they were submitted for processing as a red flag because the board secretary's signature was missing? And if they were sent back and ignored, what did the accounts department do about it? If these contracts were voidable, should legal action be taken to return the monies to the public purse. He also questioned whether board members will be protected, particularly given the fact that they did not meet for 2 years. Now, responding to Bonnaby's questions in the House, Cartwright says the minutes would reflect that sweeping contracts were unanimously approved by the board. He said, quote, in terms of how much and the rates, all of that was litigated at the board level, and all of them were fully approved, and the minutes reflect that. It's been a lot of this, and this has been going on for quite a while. Cartwright spoke extensively about this yesterday as well. For more on that, take a listen to this report from our Jasmine Brown.
This is not the first or even second time Cartwright, who is also deputy leader of the Free National Movement, has addressed the controversy surrounding his time at the Bahamas Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority. While contributing to the budget debate on Thursday morning, Cartwright noted that the authority, which is only 8 years old, has never remained within any administration. A fact he says was even pointed out by current Works Minister and Fort Charlotte MP Alfred Sayers.
From its inception from year one to date, the authority has never stayed within budget. Secondly, on the decision to exceed the budgeted amount in the 2021-2022 budget, and as I had stated, I made no unilateral decision, and as the honorable member stated in this honorable House, and I quote, I know the member for St. Barnabas has been put in a difficult spot, but for those of us who know how government runs, it could not be you alone, sir.
Cartwright went on to insist Sayers was also correct when he previously stated that Cartwright had been placed in a difficult position.
In addition, the honorable member for Charlotte said, the honorable member for St. Barnabas has taken a blow beyond his authority. Okay, so I quoted you right. Madam, Mr. Deputy, on both scores, he was right. I got instructions and directives from higher authorities, and I will leave that right there.
The authority and Cartwright have come under scrutiny in recent months over pre-election contracts and consistent overspending in the millions of dollars between 2019 and 2021. In the House of Assembly on Wednesday, Prime Minister Philip Ray Davis said the authority awarded contracts to people with no equipment and no employees. Davis has repeatedly accused the Minutes administration of using the entity as a slush fund.
I deny any suggestions that I participated in any willful wrongdoing or knew of any wrongdoing. There has been lacking sufficient context to assess the issues stemming from the Bahamas Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority that have come up in the public domain.
In addition to defending his tenure at Beaches and Parks, Cartwright also called on the Davis administration to place its focus in helping Bahamians struggling with the increasing cost of living. Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, let's get your reaction to this alarming contracts. Here we go again. This has been an ongoing story here for the country. And this text already saying it, right? This beaches and parks talk is nonsense. They're not going to do anything about this. So embarrassing, and threatening people who got the contract is cowardly. How do you feel about it? Give us a call. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. It's quite something. I mean, everybody seems to know the rules, except for when they are in there. What's up with the signatures? What's up with these excuses we keep hearing about signatures and who's supposed to be on it but who wasn't on it, and different signatures, and what is happening? Let's take this call and find out what you're saying. And again, call in 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Taking my call. Morning, Blend.
Hi, good morning.
You know, most of us can't really say that they had an opportunity to sit and talk briefly with someone like Sir John Templeton, one of the smallest investors who know how to move money and manage money, right? And he told me something that really stuck, and I think it's in one of his books. He says, you know, what most of us have is something called a diminished sense of prosperity. simply mean that we're afraid to succeed. And we spend our time to tell you everything about Nebuchadnezzar, Ezekiel, Daniel, but don't even know our own blood type, right? So we just keep going around and around. Then you have this other crew that has this diminished sense of danger. And here we're looking at now a situation where people will take risk because their sense of danger is diminished. I can hopefully say that I see within the current leader and in the opposition, both of these men do not suffer from the diminished sense of danger nor prosperity. So the Bahamas should be in pretty good shape for the next couple of years. But someone who's been bullied, like, say, the guy in the Middle East now who's declaring war, he has a diminished sense of danger. They're going to control their language when speaking in public and be cussing and carrying on. That's a diminished. Please, do not elect people like them again. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, morning, Glenn.
Hi.
Sometime I wonder if dementia is coming in, but it seems as if everything was intentional. And then, we hire these people, we elect them, and we expect the best out of them. As a child, not as a child, but younger, I always expected the best out of the F&M because that is what they projected. But here it is, man, this thing is getting worse every day. I satisfy myself with the fact that as a child, I met Milo Bowden Butler. I met Sir Cecil. And I also met Lyndon Pindling. I was one of those children that is on the park that formed the human flag at our independence celebration. So now it's 50 years, almost 50 years later. I'm sorry, but this is just a bitter pill for me to swallow right now. And I should hope we never return to this point in our political experience.
I mean, you said the F&M, but this happens every time the government changes. It's revealing and alarming details of the contract that was in place and how this person was making this and didn't do this and brought in this and that. We're on a repeat cycle here.
Yes, but isn't there some code of ethics? Where how they operate and they have to give an account for it. And if not, then why won't one of them just take the bull by the horn and pass the legislation that if this was to ever happen again, what will take place?
I want to say that there's stuff in place now.
Yeah, there definitely is.
That isn't enforced because even in something as simple as declaring how much money or the assets of MPs, they're supposed to do that every 12 months. And some have been in for consecutive terms and don't do it because they know they're the legislators. No one is going to enforce the law against the people who write it. So you could write all the stuff. That's why every election cycle is these accusations of corruption. And so either everybody is corrupt or nobody is corrupt or some mix of it, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day because nothing is going to happen.
Well,
I'm just saying, Dwight, like nothing's got you need a third. I hate to use the word party in this instance, but I mean like a third agency, somebody outside of who is the administration and who is the opposition that is so removed from them that they can actually do something without fear of repercussion to their life and their livelihood. Otherwise, we'll continue to have exactly what we have right now. It's all this. There's nothing. It's an inevitability.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well.
Okay. Dwight, I believe ain't nothing changed. It's the same old, same old. I believe the two sides are just alike. It's just that these guys, my New Day government, what I vote for, we in power now, and we pointing no things. I believe if we do, what is named the procurement bill order, what they were talking about last night, we'll be surprised to know what then happened 6 months later since my New Day government being in power. I think the opposition challenged them yesterday to bring forward and table some of the procurement bills or the contracts would they give out in the last 6 months whilst they pointing out other things to them, since we say we so much better. Now, I'm glad they have for them going. I ain't sorry for them, right? Shannon Dawes still is my boy. Glad he did win his seat and everything, right? But I can tell you something. In spite of me being a New Day government and I for the PLP, I don't like everything about my party, just like how they don't like everything about me or even like me. I don't like some of them. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who we like. That is irrelevant. My point is that when I listened to Parliament last night, in spite of the official opposition, man, I don't know who else. Maybe, see, because I can't see and I blind, maybe I interpret it different. I felt like Michael Pintard and the white boy, what do you name, Adrian White? Man, they do a good job in Parliament last night, especially when it comes to the question period and stuff like that. I listened to Michael talking and standing up, in spite of them only having 7 or 6 of them. It made me remember when Mother Pratt and Perry Christine Burnett noticed was only 4 or 5 of them, and they became the government in the next general election. So I observe and everything, but it's the same old family, friends, and lovers. When Mr. Davis talk about the people enriching themselves and friends, family, lovers, it's like he was talking to himself, you know? So they need to stop this and look out for the poor and needy and stop this foolishness with friends, families, and lovers. Tell them to do the procurement bill or whatsoever to show us how much contracts they done do for the last 6 months.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, boy. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And good morning, Stephen.
Morning.
Yeah, Dwight and Stephen. The definition of insanity, right? You don't see we just play that every 5 years, right? So when you have a nation full of insane people, right, falling in a bunch or two corrupt entities, right, there's nothing never going to change, right? Because we are so insane, but being a PLP or FLM, we just can, we don't even have the ability to move away from these entities, some of us. That's how insane we are for them, right? And then the people who run these entities, they know of this, right? This is why they don't really do anything, because they only dealing with insane people, and the rest, the people who are sane, are not interested in the politics. So we find ourselves in a very, very terrible place as a nation, and this is why we can't grow.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Appreciate it. A nation of insane people, he says.
I heard. So a lot of times, what persons will do to mitigate risk is they will say to themselves, well, this is what I'm familiar with. Concerned that if they make too new a choice, that the results might be so drastic and so horrible, and they don't know what's on the other side, right? And so that's also one of the reasons why people repeat their choices, even if the choice didn't necessarily pan out for them before. I don't want it to seem just as though this is coming from the choices that we make as a collective society are based solely out of ignorance. I think that the average Bahamian feels exactly how most of the callers feel, which is, yeah, there's some good inside each party, but there's also some bad that is obvious to everybody that needs to be rooted out. And they don't know what a third option or getting rid of everything and restructuring the whole entire thing might present. And as a result, they often be like, well, this is what I'm familiar with. I know what problems this might present. And so I'm going to go with this direction because this direction isn't working right now.
Well, let's not pretend, though, that there has been any sensible third option anytime recently.
No. When I say third option, and see, the problem is all of these little fly-by-night, I just want power individuals have polluted the term. So I actually wish there was a different term. Because when I say third option, I don't mean a third party, a fringe party. I don't mean a party where they had a charismatic leader and nothing else to offer. I literally mean stuff like, okay, for example, you are one of the many people who believe we should be a republic or headed in that direction. Correct? That's true. Right. That's a different option than what we presently have, right? But to get to that, we're gonna need so much more to get to that. So third option might be the the wrong term, right? But we need something different, but we're afraid to try anything new.
Yeah. Well,
just because we're like, well, we know what this is, and we know it could go wrong here. So we've lived through this going wrong, so we know we can survive it if worse come to worse.
Well, I mean, just want to quickly make a point, and this would really impact beaches and parks as well, and a situation like this going forward. Before we talk about a republic, we really do need to decentralize our government and become a federation. Before, and if you don't understand that, we'll do some shows on that. But that is the key.
Love to.
That is the key. And once this stuff isn't controlled by the central government, there will always be corruption, unfortunately, but it won't be at this level or this alleged level.
Well, let's not say there'll always be corruption. Let's say human beings are very creative creatures, and they will look for opportunities to take advantage of and exploit.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, the same way, your software have to update every year because every year somebody come up with a new way to steal your credit card number and all this different stuff. So the same way where the criminals get slightly better every year to address what you're doing, you got to become slightly better again to address what they're doing. So even though people are going to look for loopholes to exploit and all these different stuff, it is incumbent on us to not say, well, we do the Constitution 50 years ago, so that should be good. No, it's not.
Yeah, you got to step up your game. Absolutely.
Adjust.
Let's take some more calls, and we'll get to your text messages. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you this morning?
Doing well.
Wonderful, man. Thank you for taking my call. I want to make up several comments, but I want to make two foundations. One, that I'm against corruption. The second one is that whatever I say is against the backdrop that we were in a pandemic. And when we look at this whole conversation of corruption, we have to look at intent. I suggest we look at intent. Now, first of all, I want to commend the speaker, the gentleman who sat in the chair the last 2 days. I think he did an exceptional job. I didn't expect that from him. I know his background. He has to be a decent fellow for not losing. Now, the beaches and parks situation, and Alfred says is a fellow I respect. Whatever he says, I take a second thought of questioning. He said that Chattanooga Cartwright could not have done what he did by himself, knowing the way government functions. You cannot make a spending decision without authorization. I think Michael Pindar did another good job yesterday as well. Now, in my years of following politics, I have never, ever heard a prime minister or any politician stand on the street and says, do your investigation. First what he said, I am against corruption. Do your investigation. And if you find any form of corruption, charge the person, even if it's me. I found that commenting the Prime Minister should take him up on his suggestion and proceed with the matter. I am concerned about this, like Michael said, this drip feeding. And we as the public, we like to just salacious information that we can just use our simple mind to continue going on without doing the fact-checking as to what is going on. Popper said something very interesting. Let us look at that procurement bill and see what contracts was given. Then we can measure these guys who come into the public about this, about the spending. In the pandemic, we know that there was one person that gives the authority on what can or cannot be done. That was the competent authority. Chattanooga Cartwright could not have done what he did without the authorization of the competent authority in the pandemic. And the last thing I want to say, too, about the speaker. Now, this question of bullying, I was concerned. The greatest respect I had for Alfred Stairs. There was a situation where who was asked to withdraw a comment that was, I think it might have been Minnis, who was asked to withdraw a comment that was normally accepted by Parliament from a newspaper. The speaker was not inclined to follow that route, but he was bullied by the member for Charlotte to have it withdrawn. I saw yesterday that the Prime Minister apparently did the same thing, reading from a newspaper about the same facts. I do not know if it was withdrawn. I think the member for Australia, the bright guy, White, he asked the same thing be withdrawn. It was not. So I am concerned about this double standard that we are now seeing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking my call.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's take another call, and we got to take a break soon. But good morning, call. You're on the air. Good morning. Are you there? Hi. Good morning. You're on the air.
God, this is Strachan, voice along with you and Stephen Dwight.
Hi. Good morning.
Okay, we need justice, law, and order in this country. Dwight, I want to make 2 points or 2 questions. If one were to look at intent, like the brother said, right, and you found out that everybody that runs for the House of Assembly has reason to do wrong, right? Nobody wants to run. The people, the public, doesn't want to vote or would not vote for any party. What would happen in a situation as such?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean,
somebody's going to vote.
Right, somebody will vote, because the people who are, unless nobody ran, but if the people who run, I'm sure they're going to vote for themselves. So,
although many of them don't live in the constituencies they're running.
Yeah, but then you also have to get people to sign up for you to nominate you for the constituency, and so
it's an interesting question, but highly unlikely.
Theoretically, if 0 people voted, even the people who nominated you voted, then I feel like the governor general would
likely the incumbent. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll never find out. Hopefully, we'll never find out.
Remember, the House Assembly will be dissolved at that point.
Yeah.
So I think it'll stay with the governor general until we can figure out what's going on.
Let's not even put that in the atmosphere. That just sounds like chaos. But hey,
it would be chaos.
Yeah.
It'll never happen, but
let's hope. Let's go to the break, and when we come back, we'll get to your text messages, and then we will. Well, let's read a couple of messages now, and then we'll go to the break. Someone says here, did I hear Shandon Kare say that he didn't make those decisions on his own? He got instructions from a higher authority. And please stop using that excuse that nothing will be done, because we don't know that. The first part, yes, you heard that. And the second part, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. I don't think we should be saying that. If we do this about everything. We just say, well, that's just the way it is. The way it is. Say it. We can't hear you. What's happening?
I don't know why, but I'm saying that. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm saying that based on the record and based on our track record, that seems to be the direction. That's not an excuse.
No,
that's like saying,
that's the texter's word, excuse. But let's not put that
I'm saying,
out there.
I want to clarify for everybody listening, including the texter, because excuse means that I'm saying, I'm cool with it happening. I've accepted this happening. No, I'm saying that's like saying I see somebody get shot, they're bleeding on the ground and nobody's helping them. This person's going to die. That doesn't mean I want them to die. That means that based on the present available data, this person is most likely to die. We have the ability, now that I've told you that.
Quite different.
No, I'm saying, no, now that I've told you, it's an example, Dwight. It's always going to be different.
Well, I mean, it's not comparable.
But I'm saying, now that I've told you that, we all have the ability to act on it, and I could be wrong.
Yeah. We got to speak. We got to say we demand that something we have to speak like that more often, because when they are listening and when they hear us say, well, we don't expect anything is going to be happening, and they're like, yeah, sure, well, let's move on to bigger things. New things are happening. That's the past. We got to look to the future, and they will always speak like that. But if you don't expect anything, then you likely won't get it.
Never heard them say that's the past. Let's look to the future. I've never heard anybody say that.
We hear that all the time. What are you talking about? They're always saying, what are you talking about the past? We got the future. We got people right now who can't buy gas. People right now who are... It's always that type of nonsense. But hey, we got to take a break. Let's come back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
I don't worry about you, how that bird don't make a soup. I come here to carry on bad, mash up the place we mad. Grab a little thing, most one she ever had. Listen to what I say, you'll find out that I don't play. Like sweet Emily say, still got you going my way. Cause I don't care what the people say, yes, I'm turning up. When I shake my hand and say thanks for showing up. Cause I don't care what the people say, yes, I'm turning on my way. Right now I feel like whining.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we are seeing some heavy traffic on Blue Hill Road, especially from Carmichael to Independence Drive in the northbound lanes. Gets especially heavy from the junction with Soldier Road in those northbound lanes there. Carmichael is backed up as well, eastbound to Blue Hill Road. Mile Butler Highway also seeing heavy traffic as usual from well south of Fire Trail, from about Bellet Road all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway and the roundabout there. Backed up a bit along Fire Trail as well, eastbound to the roundabout. Then we've got Gladstone Road also heavy about just north of Fire Trail in the northbound lanes to JFK Drive this morning. Building traffic on Carmichael westbound to Coral Harbor Road as well. So Eastern Road is already busy for you just east of Fox Hill Road in the westbound lane up to about Johnson Road. And we're seeing some bits of congestion near Windsor Place on Soldier Road, both directions, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive with the major intersections. East Street also building traffic between the Independence Drive East-West Highway roundabout and Soldier Road and East Street at the intersection with Robinson Road. Those are your hotspots for now. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank, banking reimagined. And it's time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by the Pan American Health Organization. We've got a high-pressure system generating moderate to fresh winds as it drifts eastward across the country. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should remain alert for possible rip currents along easterly beaches. For all areas today, we're looking at partly to mostly sunny and hot conditions with isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight with passing showers. Smartcraft operators in the southeast Bahamas should exercise caution. Temperatures today getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure looks to cross the Atlantic ahead of a frontal boundary that will enter the northwest Bahamas on Sunday. So for tomorrow, Saturday, look for partly to mostly sunny, breezy, and hot conditions with isolated showers. Sunday, partly cloudy to cloudy and hot with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwest Bahamas near the front. Partly to mostly sunny and breezy with isolated showers elsewhere. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by PAHO. COVID-19 vaccines and boosters are now available at South Beach Clinic on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. On Wednesdays at the Flamingo Gardens Clinic from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Elizabeth Estates Clinic from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Fleming Street from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and at the Marathon Mall from Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Visit vax.gov.bs to book an appointment or simply walk into any of those locations. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
When you're hunting for your first home, it can feel like a lot.
With RBC by your side, your home owning journey can be stress-free. An RBC mobile mortgage specialist will meet you almost anywhere, and you'll benefit from flexible repayment terms, lower upfront costs, and cashback where it matters. Pre-qualify to see what you can afford. Start at rbc.com/Caribbean/mortgages. Limited time offer.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are well fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Valpo Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Let Wendy's heat up your morning. Wake up with our new Hot Honey Chicken Biscuit that is forged in flavor and made fresh every morning just for you. Forged from a fusion of sweet honey and spicy heat. Wendy's new Hot Honey Chicken Biscuit is our breaded premium all-white chicken breast topped with habanero honey, served on a fresh-baked buttermilk biscuit. It offers the perfect balance of sweet heat. Better mornings always start at Wendy's.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Last night, all I think about is you. Don't stop, baby, you come on too. Don't want, baby, think about you. You know that I'm never gonna lose. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna on this Friday morning. Got a lot of your text messages to get to. We've been talking about the issue, the controversy at beaches and parks, and the alarming contracts. The words of the current executive chairman, the chairman at Beaches and Parks, Mikhail Bonamy. All right, so somebody's texting here. Please ask your PLP callers if their government will change anything at parks and beaches or do the same, please. Okay. This person says, Dwight, we are to blame. We keep electing these two parties for decades now. Let's take a chance with something new and see what happens. Okay. Yeah. Well, we appeal to the something new, to be indeed something new, and to have some plans and have all this country should be. Let's all get on board with what you have to say. Just don't be different for the sake of different.
Right.
Or look different and be the same.
Well, some of them don't even look different.
That's
true. They wear the exact same suit.
Some of them are the same people. They're just all of a sudden now in that.
Right. And in some cases, it is the same people because it's somebody who failed at the other party, and they go to the next party, and then they get in as the Minister of National Security. Hey, that's matter. The whole point is, Dwight, that I once again, just a note, and I know it sounds like I'm being a stickler here, all right? I'm a little, everybody, when we say we are all voting in the same people over and over again, that's not necessarily true. Some of us are voting in the same people over and over again. But I'm sure from...
You know what they mean.
I know
not enough. Not enough people are
yeah, but I'm saying, but like part of it is also when persons say something that's like, oh, let's try this thing or let's do this thing, and only 5% of the people nod their head and 0% actually support the idea, then it's not the same thing as saying, oh, everybody in the Bahamas was on the same page when we did this, because that's not true. I don't even think at any point we could say 100% that half of the country voted in one direction. I don't think we.
But let's not harp on this because again, there really haven't been some decent alternatives. They really haven't.
I mean, there's that as another point, but I'm also saying, like, even in terms of voting, because are you going to then say the people who didn't vote voted in somebody? If the person who says, you know what, I've looked at the options and I cannot in good conscience support any of these people, are they also not doing anything?
That's an interesting point.
Are the people who did vote against the people in both parties, are they guilty? Are the people who put themselves up and said, listen, I'm not a millionaire, I'm just a teacher, and I'm just a handyman, but I do not like the direction the country is going in. Here's what I have to offer. They barely had enough to pay for posters. Are those people also, doing? No, there are people out there doing stuff. And I just, mentally, it becomes kind of defeating when you hear over and over, oh, it's our fault. We're not doing. No.
Well, Stephen, we got a holiday rule, and so the majority did it, and so now everybody's got to get the collective blame.
But even that is a fallacy, and the whole my only reason I'm bringing it up or I'm putting it to a point is because it becomes very easy for persons to then give up and say, well, there's no hope because nobody in the Bahamas wants to because the people who are in charge at any point in time in history have better marketing than everybody else. It's like we don't even remember. Literally, I remember when the DNA came about. There are people who felt like that was the first third party ever, as though the CDR didn't exist 10 years before.
And many other groups.
I'm saying, literally 10 years earlier, people who would have been alive to vote in that election should have known that. But I'm saying, like, when you have better marketing than the people who you beat or the people who didn't win in any arena, then of course, it's going to look a certain way. So I'm just, for the average Bahamian not losing hope of us ever changing anything or bettering the country and just accepting, well, whatever we have is whatever we have because this is the easier thing to market or this is the easier thing to report or whatever it might be. That's not statistically, mathematically, empirically true.
All right, we've got a lot of messages and calls coming in. Someone says here, morning guys, guess what? That caller was right. All the voters are insane. What now? Those who don't vote just don't see any sense in it. Back to Africa. Huh? Let us guide our own destiny to the political leaders are caught up in the world's agenda, and this world's problems cannot be fixed. 1 hour judgment, said our biblical structures. There's not a punctuation mark anywhere in there, but okay. Insane. Yes, clearly we are. I don't want to hear Bahamians crying about these politicians. You have many chances to change them. Now, Dwight, let's talk about serious stuff. We need Brave to send the teachers at UB to greet the Duke and Duchess next week so they can be part of the wow. Okay. We're going to get to that and the wow in a little bit. Wow, indeed. Stephen could be right. Maybe we need to try something different because this don't make no sense. But we keep doing. We need to try something politically suicidal, putting some new people up. We need to try something politically suicidal? Wow.
No. Well, once again, to go back to what you said, Dwight, part of this is, or to paraphrase what you said earlier, this is a structural thing that needs to be addressed first before we get into doing anything crazy. And because you could put almost anybody inside the present situation that we have, unless that person is an actual man of God. And I have to say that there's a very strong chance that they might mistakenly do something that seems untoward just because the way our system is set up, and it's just, we need more checks and balances. We need things to be spread out. We need to, I want to say decentralize the power.
Mm-hmm.
We need all these different things to happen because these things are going to lessen the chance of somebody mistakenly doing something corrupt, somebody doing something corrupt on purpose, all these different things. Because the Bahamas is a small country. The chances of you giving your cousin a contract is very, very high.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have enough checks and balances, I will know that when you did give your cousin that contract, it wasn't you. It gone through all type of scrutiny and all type of committees, and we know that your cousin deserved that contract despite the fact that he related to you.
All right,
You know what I mean?
callers. If you can hold on or call us back after the news, we'll come back. Those who don't know what we're talking about with the WOW, you'll hear it. You'll hear about what the Duke and the Duchess are going to get. They're going to get wowed. We'll get to that in a bit. And that's literally, yes, wow indeed. Not my wow. I know I say wow a lot, but that's an actual wow. You'll hear. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Can't make you happy all night. You can't fight it, you can't breathe. You say something so loving, but now I gotta let you go. You'll be better off in someone you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:23, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got a high-pressure system generating moderate to fresh winds as it drifts eastward across the country. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should exercise caution, should be alert for possible rip currents along eastern beaches. East Coast beaches today. For all areas today, look for partly to mostly sunny and hot conditions with isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight with passing showers. Small craft operators in the southeast Bahamas should exercise caution. Currently in Nassau, it's about 77 degrees under partly cloudy skies. We're looking at highs getting up to around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure will continue to migrate east across the Atlantic ahead of a frontal boundary that will enter the northwest Bahamas by Sunday. So for tomorrow, ahead of that, Saturday, look for partly to mostly sunny, breezy, and hot conditions with isolated showers. Sunday, we're looking at partly cloudy to cloudy and hot conditions with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwest Bahamas near the front, partly to mostly sunny and breezy with isolated showers elsewhere. That's your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. Got another look at your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your lots of hot spots to tell you about, we've got Blue Hill Road, seeing that heavy traffic from Carmichael up to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Heavy traffic north of Soldier Road, that junction there, all the way up to the roundabout. Independence Drive is backed up westbound to the roundabout as well this morning, almost between both roundabouts, the Blue Hill Road and East Street roundabouts there. So keep that in mind if you're in that area. Elsewhere, we've got Carmichael seeing some heavy traffic eastbound to Blue Hill Road and Mila Butler Highway from the Fire Trail roundabout all the way up to Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. In the northbound lanes, you're going to see that heavy traffic there. Backed up along Tawny Williams-Darling Highway as well. Six-legged roundabout, we've got a couple directions there. Eastbound on JFK Drive and northbound on Mila Butler Highway. And manageable coming from the New Providence Highway southbound at this hour. But further up at the roundabout with West Bay Street, New Providence Highway, seeing some issues there, especially on the West Bay Street side eastbound near Sutter's Beach. Gladstone Road also busy for you just north of Fire Trail, heading to JFK Drive. Then there's Carmichael Road westbound to Coral Harbor Road. You're going to be seeing some traffic there. And Eastern Road westbound just east of Fox Hill Road up to about Johnson Road. Soldier Road, we're seeing this multiple spots there along Windsor Place, near Windsor Place, and just north of Robinson Road all the way up to the intersection with Wolf, Bernard, and Village Road. And then Robinson between Soldier and Old Trail. Heavy traffic there westbound. So those are your hot spots. Keep that in mind. If you can't avoid those areas, you might want to. But that's your real-time traffic. And your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
If I could live my life far into yesterday, I'll talk with the great Pompey and Black Dick too. Oh, I'll chat with the Milo Butler and the great C.R. Walker.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. Coming up in a few minutes, we wrap up Controversy Week this week. We've been looking at some very interesting issues, marital rape and expand. And today we are going to be talking about sex work and prostitution and whether they should be fully decriminalized as we wrap up the discussion this morning. Also had abortion in there. That got a lot of attention. But that's coming in just a few minutes. We do want to get through the rest of your text messages, though, on what we've been talking about so far with the contract situation with beaches and parks. Quite a few messages in here. Let's take a look at these. This person says here, just remember that while we are talking about beaches and parks, $31 million is being distributed now for the $21 million stadium that's facing the wrong direction. There you go with that again, folks. That has been discredited. That view was said to be false. That narrative that we got many years ago, that it was facing the wrong direction, everybody says that is incorrect. So let's just drop that part. But anyway, the cost overruns indeed, yes. And they're saying no detailed report on what has been delivered so far. And that is true. We are all in the dark on that, and so many questions still unanswered about the stadium. Indeed. This person says here, Stephen is right about marketing. Did you notice every time the two leading parties lose, they claim it was because of messaging? This person says here, the USA has had the Democrats and the Republicans for decades. Jamaica has had two parties for decades. It doesn't matter the amount of parties, the number of parties. The quality of candidates matter. And the character of the elected officials matter. Fixing the system matters. Yes, that part, indeed. Fixing the system matters. Yes, the quality, the quality. Well, the character of the candidate, Stephen. Yes, I mean, if they're going to be prepared to go against what the party pushes, even that, but they're not ever willing to do that, it seems.
No, but my thing is, even if they are willing to go against it, right? And character is great. It's ideal to have somebody of good character, but when you have a system that doesn't that keeps things in check, when a person doesn't have a good character, so you can't plan for perfect days. You plan for the bad days, all right? Because on a perfect day, you don't need to worry. Things on autopilot. If you like Singapore and you're lucky enough to have the one good dictator that loves his country and wants to see everybody succeed. But if you like everybody else, then the other 90% of the time, you have a dictator, and the dictator is like, yeah, this is wrong. And then only their family gets rich and they kill anybody who says anything against them. That's the time you plan for. So character is great. right? And the other issue is you can't legislate character. Let's plan for worse inevitability. Let's pretend for the next 10 election cycles, we will get the worst Bahamian possible as prime minister. Let's pretend that is going to happen. How do we keep them in check with the system? What system do we build so that even though we have the worst person, the guy that used to steal your hot potty when you was inside primary school, the person who works at the bank, because banks are horrible, whatever it might be, right? That is the person who becomes prime minister. What system do you build around them so that even though they are evil, Satan-worshipping fiends, that they cannot destroy the country?
All right. Plenty of people are thinking they don't have to try too hard to think about that. They're ready. But this person says here, we don't need a third party to replace the president, but to be at the part of the government to influence decision making.
I think that we need, honestly, if we look around, I think because we're so close to the United States, we think that that's the only example. But once we step out away from that, we look at other countries, they're like 4 and 5 man parties. And when you have to have a coalition government, things operate differently because now you have to operate with consensus with multiple people as opposed to, all of us in the same club.
Yeah.
I mean, and so it's like it causes the country to run a different way. So beyond third parties, we don't need a third party. What we need is as many Bahamians who are trying to make the country a better place to participate inside the process as humanly possible. And the first thing they need to do is change the system.
This person says here, I'm not politically correct. I don't know who you are, Texter. I don't know, so I don't know whether you are or not. But anyway, they go. But so here we go. The Blackies are at it again.
You could stop reading from there.
Worshipping their white overlords. I will never go out to poll and vote for these pathetic clowns. I am 55 and I've never voted for any of these clowns. I await your wow, and shock. I think that's supposed to be awe.
It's wow, aw. And then like a buzzing noise.
Okay. All right. This person says here, you guys need to stop Raymond from speaking darkness over our country. Every morning he opens his mouth, he says, good morning to this dark universe. I'm sick of it. Don't you know how that power is in the tongue? That's why this country is getting dark every day. Please tell him to stop.
No, it's not.
Because of Raymond?
The universe is dark. It's a very large universe.
You think it is too? Yeah. What?
No, but I'm saying, even if whether or not he means it, whether he means it metaphorically or literally, both of those things are true. He's not suggesting that it becomes that. I think you guys, a lot of people need to understand how language works, right?
But also, as my producer's reminding me that Raymond is visually impaired, so to him it is a dark universe.
Right, but I'm saying, whether he means it metaphorically or not, it's once again, he's not saying, I hope the universe becomes dark, or may the universe become dark. He is saying that as he perceives it right now, the universe is in a dark state. That's just what it is. If you understand how tenses work, if there's present tense and there's future tense, and all, he's not predicting anything. He's not speaking anything over anything. He's saying what is.
Yes. Let's take this call.
The question is, if you don't agree with that, clearly you live in a different universe than the rest of us, but
they're saying speak positive brightness.
You mean be in denial? Be in complete denial?
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Speak truth and then act on it.
Caller, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Good morning, Stephen.
Morning, how you doing?
Oh, Stephen always be low. Stephen like to say
you know.
Pardon me?
Continue, caller, continue.
I'm trying to get Stephen be rude, right?
Yeah. No, just saying, we have a few hours.
Stephen. Don't do that.
No, let's go.
No, I'm trying to hear what he said. What did he say, Stephen?
No, I will try to speak louder for you.
Oh, okay, yeah. To know the technician need to bring you a better system, Mike. But Dwight, what I called for to answer what Stephen said. The best perfect system to me is the American system, the Republican system. I would die going for that type of system. And we had a talk about going Republic, and Dwight, you need to do a show on that. I think the Republic will hold more. It might not be perfect, but it'll be more transparent and more accountability. What do you think, Dwight?
It won't necessarily, but we've done many shows. The type of republic makes a big difference as well. But more than
You did a show on
anything,
American system?
we've done a show on becoming a republic many times.
Yeah, but not a different type of Republic.
We've talked about all the various types. We've talked about the various types. But I do like the American system. I do. But there are other types as well. But a federal system, more than anything, is...
Don't forget, now I said not perfect.
Yeah.
But it brings politicians to justice, and if they guilty, they go to jail.
We could do that with what we have right now.
No.
We could. We just don't want to.
But we can't.
Well, that won't make a difference. Yeah, because that's what you all want. That's what you want. If you really wanted it, it could happen.
What about a controversy now in Abaco? You think they get in jail?
If that's what's supposed to happen, it could happen. There's nothing
get in
preventing
jail,
that from
like,
happening.
you can
Becoming a
take it
republic would not change that.
Huh?
Becoming a republic would not change that at all.
Yeah, it would change that.
It wouldn't. It
would put people in jail.
We all okay. Claire, we have to do a whole month of shows on that. That won't change it. If you want to protect people who are doing wrongdoing in your country, whether you're a republic, dictatorship, whatever, you'll be doing the same old nonsense, right? There are different reasons why we need to become a republic, so that we can have a direct say. Well, the type of republic, if you say you like the American system, a say in who is actually leading the country, unlike what we're doing now, where it's the number of votes for the party, and then the leader of the party becomes. That's very different. You don't have a direct say in who becomes the prime minister of the country, right?
Control
or the
the
leader of the country. So that's right. But again, there are other great systems out there. Right in our Commonwealth, I say look to Australia and Canada, the federal systems that they have, where there is true semi-autonomous rule for the various provinces or states, where they have real local government, state government, and those folks are making the decisions. Only when there's a crisis does the federal government step in. They make all the regular, overarching rules and laws, but otherwise you can control your own destinies in your city, in your state, in your province, whatever you want to call it. And you can decide. You don't have to wait for the central government to say, we're going to put this resort here, and we're going to, right? Like, look at a Grand Bahama. When we come to that in the business hour, how the Deputy Prime Minister talks about how we got to get Grand Bahama and Freeport back to being the second city. I mean, why can't they be the first city? Why can't they be? But you know why? Because the central government has decided that is where they need to be. And that this island should be our third pillar, and that this one should be the fourth. They've decided that. Whereas people there might say, well, we could be bigger than Nassau. We should compete with Nassau. Why not? That's never going to happen in a system like that. You got to be there. You got to stay there, because that's where we want you to be. And don't even try to move from there. We will decide when you progress. This is why we aren't progressing. Because the overlords, and yes, we've become the overlords in Nassau, are deciding when and where everything else happens for everybody else in the country. And if you like it like that, Bahamas, we'll continue doing what you're doing. But it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that at all. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get into Controversy Week, wrapping it up for today. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
We believe in relationship banking. We take pride in getting to know our clients. You have access to knowledgeable, approachable ambassadors and financial coaches so that we can recommend the best product for you. At Fidelity, we care about you. From your financial health to your physical health, we can relate to you because we're just like you. Come and start your relationship banking experience with us today. Visit us online at fidelitygroup.com, visit any of our branches in Nassau or Grand Bahama, or phone 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 for Freeport.
Drive happy with free fuel for a year with CIBC First Caribbean and Esso. Use your CIBC First Caribbean Visa debit or credit $25 or over at any participating Esso service station, and you are automatically entered for a chance to win the grand prize and weekly prizes of $200 in fuel or cash. Offer runs until March 20th, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more details. The Esso brand is a trademark of the ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
One thing there is no debate about is that BTC has the best rates. Now, the best rates just got better because you pay half the price of the other guys with your BTC home internet and mobile services combined. Switching to BTC is a no-brainer because I pay less with BTC and get super fast internet with speeds up to 600 megs. The other guys, their internet only go up to 105 megs.
Get all the internet you want at half the price when you bundle your home internet and mobile. Visit a BTC store to make the switch today. Conditions apply.
Whenever you want, wherever you are, for all your banking needs, we make it easy. CIBC, First Caribbean, we've got all your banking solutions. CIBC, First Caribbean. CIBC, First Caribbean.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Controversy. Am I black or white? Am I straight or gay? Controversy. Do I believe God? Do I believe me? Controversy. 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 I can't understand human curiosity. Controversy. Was it good for you?
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. And Controversy Week wraps up this morning. Today we are talking about prostitution and sex work and recent calls for the further decriminalization of prostitution. I'm saying further for a reason. We're going to get to that in a bit. And for folks who are partaking in this, I guess, to be called sex workers in the country and to be protected and for there to be more funding. The NGOs that work with them. We're going to discuss this morning, get your views on that, and we have a special guest with us to share his views. We welcome back Pastor Cedric Moss. Pastor Moss, great to have you with us again.
Good morning, Dwight. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Stephen.
All right. So this is coming out of a report in the Nassau Guardian earlier in the week about the National Gender-Based Violence Discriminatory Law Review Forum. Very long name. That was held last month, and several recommendations came out of this, including some recommendations about prostitution in the country. We know that there's some, I guess, debate on whether prostitution is indeed illegal. We know it seems to be that soliciting might be illegal, but prostitution, it's a little murky there. But the group recommended that prostitution should be decriminalized and that more funding should be provided to non-governmental organizations that work with sex workers in the country and it was advised that the word prostitute be replaced with sex worker. And this is a quote from the report that was issued. Quote, it was agreed to amend Section 8 of the Sexual Offenses Act so that soliciting for immoral purposes is removed. It was agreed that we must amend the Sexual Offenses Act that the prohibition on living off earnings of prostitution does not apply to dependents of the sex worker. And it was agreed to amend Section 43 of the Penal Code dealing with living with or being company of a prostitute, and that it's also deemed as knowingly living on the earnings of prostitution. Okay. Let's get your views on this. And what do you make of that?
It feels like one of those things that are difficult.
The first instructive point I would say is that the same individuals who are recommending that we legalize or decriminalize prostitution are the same ones who are suggesting that we should legalize the killing of babies. And so I think that puts the proposition around prostitution in an appropriate context that we need to consider. But in terms of my own views about prostitution, my views are rooted in the biblical view that all people are created in the image of God, and they have equal worth and dignity, and they should be treated as such. Prostitution is really the commercial trade in human flesh and the treatment of human beings who are created in the image of God, but it's treating them as lacking dignity and value and deserving to be demeaned and exploited. And so fundamentally, that's the reason that I oppose prostitution as a whole, and certainly any kind of legalization or decriminalization of it. And I do think that anyone who holds to a biblical view that people are made in the image of God and they have dignity and they have value and worth would also hold the same position.
Something.
Oh, I was saying that prostitution is one of those things that I think unless you are proficient at it, or unless you have a wide-spanning business, it's difficult to prove, because I think a lot, if we're talking about it in the simplest forms, where an exchange for sex for money, like how you gonna prove that the person, those are two separate acts, you know? So I mean, I see where this is a difficult situation to prove, but I'm not going to pretend as though I am super well versed in the topic. Just so you know what? Go ahead, Dwight.
Okay, all right. Folks, let's hear what you're saying about it as well. We want to get your views on it. 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. All right, so what do you say to people who will say, hey, this is my choice, this is what I want to do, I think this is I'm actually good at it, and I can make a lot of money, and I'm not hurting anybody. This is my body. Let me do what I want to do.
Yeah, right. I imagine that there are, if you were to interview prostitutes, there would be some who may really take that particular view. But what studies have shown is that the overwhelming majority of women who are involved in prostitution are not involved in prostitution, and not just women nowadays, men as well, not involved in prostitution because that's my career of first choice. Find themselves in circumstances, economic circumstances, or victims of circumstances where they end up in prostitution. So a big part of the reality about prostitution is it is linked to human trafficking. So for example, one study showed in the Netherlands that 80%, where prostitution is legal, 80% of the women in the brothels in the Netherlands were trafficked from other countries. And that is true across the board where you find legalized prostitution. They traffic individuals. Another reality about prostitution is that it also is linked to child sex trafficking. And there are studies that bear this out. And so I think the argument that a person should be allowed to do what doesn't hold water, because it does account for the overwhelming majority of persons who are involved in that kind of activity. The other thing,
for one second, forgive me. I just want to. Okay, so once again, I'm not an authority on any of this, but I feel like that's two separate things, because of course, trafficking a child that's illegal as it is, and I don't think that anybody is advocating for that. So I think what's being advocated for is specifically people who are aware of what they're doing. They're like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm presently doing. Don't make it illegal, or don't criminalize it in that regard. I don't think anybody is advocating for human trafficking, although, and I'm sure there are instances of that, but I don't think that would ever be legalized or encouraged by any government.
You are correct, but it happens, and I think you.
I mean, a lot. Go ahead.
The point that I made is that when you study the countries that have legalized prostitution, whether they want child sex trafficking or not, that is the reality of that decision. So it's not a matter of ignoring it or saying we don't want it. That is what you actually will get as well.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying that in an illegal system, you would also still have that happening. So that's a different issue that needs to be addressed differently. I don't know if you should conflate that.
Again, you're missing the point. The point is not that it doesn't happen in the illegal system. The point is, if you legalize it, you will increase it exponentially. And I'm not talking off the top of my head. There are studies that bear this out.
All right, let's take this call. Caller, good morning. What say you on this? Caller, good morning.
Good morning, hello?
Yes, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight. The only problem that I have with the whole biblical version is not everybody in this country is a Christian. People can choose to do what they want. They can choose to serve which God they want to serve. They can choose to do with their body what they want. And that's the only problem I have when you try and take it from a biblical standpoint. We are not all Christians. I am, but not everybody else in the country is. And I believe it's in their choice to choose what they want to do, when they want to do it. Once it's not illegal. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay. All right. Pastor Moss, what say you to that?
Yeah. Listen, although I expressed what my views are rooted in, I am largely still arguing from the good of society and the way society should pass laws for the general good. And so, for example, take another question. Should a person have the right to take his or her life? Should a person have the legal right? Right now, it is against the law to commit suicide.
It is?
We have the right to end our lives.
Really?
Should the government law to allow people to end their lives if they want to commit suicide? Most people will say no, because we value life. And so it is not a matter of you let people do what they want to do. You have to think about what is in the best interest of society. Prostitution is the most dangerous activity that a human being can engage in terms of what they call work. A woman who's involved in prostitution is liable on a daily basis to physical abuse, straight rape, and really in many ways, what prostitution is paid rape. It is being paid to allow someone to rape you because
No, it's not
That's a
that.
bit extreme.
Because
That's a bit extreme.
No, because not if you're because if you're giving consent,
Yeah, it's
rape is
consent.
about consent.
No.
So if you're consensually doing something, even if you don't agree with it, it's not. That's not. No, but I'm saying to use emotional language.
Okay, here's the point that I think you're continuing to miss.
Persons who don't agree with you over to your side. I'm saying that
All right.
rape is about consent. So like I wouldn't conflate that with rape.
Okay. My point is that we still are missing the fact that some up to 60 to 80% of the persons who are involved in prostitution in legal systems, they are trafficked people.
How much is it for in places where it's illegal?
Say it again?
What is the percentage in places where it's illegal? If it's you said 60 to 80%. So is it more than that?
Those are general.
Right. So how much is it in places where it's illegal?
Okay, let me just give you one comparison. For example, if you take Sweden and Finland, these are two countries that share a common border. In a 2017 study, now what Sweden did was Sweden partially decriminalized prostitution. What they did was they decided that they would punish those who purchase women, but they would not punish or criminalize the women who sold their bodies. That's what Sweden did. And you know what the number of trafficked women in Sweden was in 2017? Between 200 and 400. What was the number in neighboring Finland? Between 15,000 and 17,000.
But see, you're comparing two countries. You're comparing two countries. I would prefer if you compared what it was like before and after they passed a law partially legalizing it.
Well, I'm giving you the stats right now. This is what happened when Sweden had a very high rate of human trafficking when they had sex legalized, allowed the same way that they did in Finland. And so my point is, when Sweden made their change, this is some years later after they made the change that this study was done, they only were able to account for between 200 to 400 of women being trafficked in Sweden, whereas where it was business as usual in Finland, that number was 15,000 to 17,000.
All right, let's take these calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. Hi,
Sean.
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good morning. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I just heard about this person. See, the thing is, I get very upset when we start following what we're doing. The country has a standard, Dwight. It's in our Constitution. Foundation stones were laid for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We get all mixed up by listening what Sweden do, what France do, what this one do, what that one do. That's not the way to run a country. That's not the way for us to behave. We're looking at the wicked ways of other nations and then determining to make laws which are contrary to the very spirit and letter of the Constitution. We have to follow the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That's not even in the discussion. We get all mixed up, Dwight. When we start looking at what this one do and that one do and the next one do, I'm not even interested in those studies. Those studies don't mean anything. God's word showed us thousands of years ago what this kind of wickedness will result in. We don't have to look at those funny studies. The determination has already been made by God. There is a lifestyle to live that is not good for his people. And they're going to waste time talking the foolishness and nonsense what other people are doing? Is that what we have come to in 2022? This is utter nonsense and foolishness. We have a constitution, Dwight. That's what we ought to be going by. The principles of the founding fathers on which this nation was built. And we are allowing wicked people coming up with all kind of funny things to put on our people. We have to get that thing straight. Thank you very much,
All right.
Dwight.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well.
And good morning to your guest. Dwight, just before I comment, man, it seems as if that you can't find nothing constructive to do in this Bahamas or to really discuss. Are we ready? Are we ready for the socio-economic impact that this legalizing prostitution in Bahamas that we would face with? Are we ready for this? Are we going to sanction and open the doors for persons to be susceptible to contracting AIDS and HIV and all of these other things? Is our healthcare system ready for this? I mean, we have to look at these things sensibly and see exactly what we're talking about, man. If you really want to talk about some
Would it be very different from what we are facing now?
I mean, you say, sir?
Would it be very different from what we're facing now?
Yeah, but then you want to sanction it, you know what's going to happen now, right? You're going to open the doors, because if we're in the tropics, you're going to open the doors for illegal trafficking, all these other stuff, illegal migration to the Bahamas. All of these things you have to factor in, Dwight. And then, but our controversial discussion. Why can't we have a discussion on the amount of children between the ages of 10 and 14 who have given birth in this Bahamas? You want to have a discussion on that?
We talk about it all the time.
No, we don't talk about it the way we talk about these things. It is like a campaign is on for these type of things, about when you're talking about abortion. Are we going to? Because we have a liberal government in the U.S. right now who believes, Joe Biden does believe in abortion right up to birth, right up to 9 months. What is going to be the cutoff period if we legalize abortion? Would it be 6 months? Would it be 3 months? Would it be 6 weeks? All of these things, right? We need to talk about these things holistically. There should not be no emotional debate. I'm not even going to bring this from a Christian perspective, because not all of us in the Bahamas are Christian. I'm talking about a common sense perspective. But if we don't have anything constructive to do, man, I could give you a whole slew of things that we could talk about in the Bahamas.
And we talk about them all the time. So I'm not sure what point you're getting at, but we try to talk about everything. And today I don't think we've ever had a discussion about this before, and we're doing it now. Just getting your views on this. This is something that's out there.
I think that
talk show.
What persons are forgetting is that nothing that you're discussing this week is something that isn't happening. These are things that are happening, and they are often in the periphery or in the blind spots of the law. And somebody said, "Hey, you guys should address this stuff. You should either do this or do that." The discussion now is, should we take this advice? That's all that's happening. I think that we're all on the same page that 10-year-olds should not why is a 10-year-old pregnant? We're all on the same page with that. I don't think that there's any doubt about
there.
that.
Everybody's on the same page. That shouldn't be happening.
All right. Now, when it comes to prostitution, sex work, the question really comes up, well, what is sex work? Because sex work could be, I think what people have in their mind is a woman walking down the road in the middle of the night, leaning into a car saying, "What you want?" Right? But if we're just talking about the exchange of goods and of money or goods for sexual favors, then you could expand that to people who purposely seek out rich partners, and the only thing that they offer them is sex. Mm-hmm. But then again, that is a more dignified situation, and so we don't necessarily frown at that, or we wouldn't even call it prostitution, because it'd be like, even though she knows she ain't the only woman he's sleeping with, and even though he gives her money every time he has sex with her, or a man who gets favors from somebody for a sexual whatever, because they're wearing a suit, or because they dress nice, or because they're not walking the streets, or because they live in a certain neighborhood, or because they got a condo instead of a chicken snack, we don't consider it prostitution. So it's like, that is the conversation that we are having. Mm-hmm. And to say, if one, in my mind, all right, I mean, I once again, I don't feel comfortable with the idea of prostitution, but that's because I do believe that our society has not reached the place where we will not exploit people. You still treat people when we go to Wendy's and they don't cut our sandwich in half. I cannot imagine a situation where that's somebody's body, because it would only be worse in my mind. But once again, I'm coming from a place of privilege and being removed from the entire situation.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Almost there. All right. And so I think that's my fear in that part. But there are other issues involving people who are presently involved with sex work right now that need to be addressed. And I think that's what the advocates are saying.
Pastor callers, just hold on first. We're going to come to you in just a moment. Pastor Moss, this text here. Someone says, hey, with all due respect, I find it very interesting that Pastor Moss appears to be advocating for women's rights in terms of how dangerous prostitution apparently is for sex workers. However, earlier in the week, I listened to the entire conversation on abortion, and Pastor Moss also staunchly claimed that a woman should not have the right to terminate her pregnancy, even in the event of rape or incest. So which is it? That's a text. Pastor,
Two things. One, I made the clear point that killing a child is not protecting a woman's body. That's the first thing. And the second is regarding rape and incest, those are exceptions under any particular set of circumstances where people consider abortion. And what I expressed as it relates to rape and incest was my own views and what the conversation I've had with my wife and my daughters.
I mean, you also said that.
No, Stephen, you're interrupting me.
I apologize.
It is fully understandable that there are the real options, and some countries have taken it, where they make abortion illegal, but they allow for those exceptions. I also made the point that I know of situations where individuals have been the of rape and incest, and they opted to keep the children. So if it came to a vote, I would express my position that I believe that all life is sacred. But on the exception part, obviously that would be left up to people.
All life is sacred except criminals. Also, you did say that, and I remember because I wrote it down, it's not the woman's body once the baby is in it.
Absolutely. Well,
no, I'm saying because that's what the text is.
What I said is the baby is not the woman's body. The woman can do whatever she wants to do with her body.
Specifically, you said, because I wrote it down. You specifically said it's not the woman's body.
Obviously, you could have written it down wrongly, or I may have communicated. Let me state it clearly right now. I said this on Wednesday. The baby has his own hands and legs and brain and everything else. And what I did say was, if it's the woman's body, it would be the woman who was killed by abortion, not the baby. The baby gets killed, the woman lives. So it clearly is not her body that is being killed.
All right, let's take these calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. Are you there? Good morning. Hi, good morning. You're on the air. I can hear you. Good morning. You're on the air. No? Okay, let's take the other call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. I'm hearing something. Call back 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796.
If I may quickly, I made a comment earlier that prostitution is paid. I'm using the words of survivors of the experience of prostitution. They have described it as paid work. One lady, Rachel Moran, who wrote a book, Paid For, My Journey Through Prostitution, published in 2013. Here's what she says about it. A very short quote. She says, prostitution and rape are commonly distinguished by the logical fact that to buy something and to steal something are two different things. But when we consider that the sex bought in prostitution is the same type of sex stolen in rape, sex that is disembodied, enacted on the bodies of women who, for the men do not exist as human beings, and the men are always in control, it is then that we understand how deeply traumatizing it is for a woman whose body is so used. When we understand that the sex paid for in prostitution shares so many of its characteristics with the sex stolen in rape, it makes sense that so many prostituted women make clear parallels between the two experiences. Some call it pay as you go. The quote is finished. I'm just making this other part. Some call it pay as you go rape. Some call it being raped for a living. Those are not my words.
Okay. Let's take these calls quickly. We only have a few more minutes left. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
The caller before the last caller, right? What he got to remember is that when governments go to those international conventions, they put our Constitution aside and go along with what those laws established in those conventions speak on. Thank you.
Okay. And this call here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning.
Hi. Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Dwight, Steve, and Pastor. Listen, I'd like to remind the Bahamas what the letters PLP stand for.
Is this related?
Progressive,
This is related to what we're talking about now?
progressive and liberal. And we need to be progressive and liberal in today's ever-changing world.
Okay.
Anybody who doesn't want to be progressive or liberal needs to stay in their dark cave.
Okay. So you support this. Is he gone? Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's that. Final comments on this. Pastor Moss, you go first.
Yeah, Dwight, one of the things I think is worth clarifying is much has been said about what is legal and not legal in the Bahamas right now, but the Sexual Offenses Act, Section 8(1), says this: any person who knowingly lives wholly or in part on the earnings of prostitution or in any public place persistently solicits or importunes for immoral purposes is guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment for 5 years. So the idea that a woman who receives money for sex in return for sex is not engaged in prostitution, that is prostitution, that is illegal. So it's not just solicitation that is illegal. Anyone who knowingly lives wholly or in part is to any degree. So that trafficking the woman, that is the woman who's receiving any part of the proceeds and living off of it. So it is surprising to me that this has been uttered so many times on the airwaves, and it just carries on as if it is true. It is not true that prostitution is not illegal in the Bahamas. It is illegal to live off the proceeds of prostitution in whole or in part. This is the first closing comment I'll make. The last one is this. A study, this is from a study, this was published in the Yale Law and Political Review Journal in 2011. And what they indicated was approximately 60% of prostitute victims began as juveniles. Another study showed it was 61.7% of the respondents who first exchanged sex for money before the age of 18. And so I think we need to really not just express our views, but the good thing about what we're talking about is we have other countries to look at. We can look at New Zealand, where they have decriminalized prostitution. We can look at the Netherlands, where they have legalized prostitution, and those are two different realities. And so we live in shared space in the Bahamas, and the laws that we pass need to be conducive for all of us to live harmoniously in our shared space. We're not free to do whatever we want to do because we don't live in isolation. We live in a shared space.
Okay. And Stephen, any final words?
Once again, and I'm probably the worst person in this situation because I am the most conservative friend that Dwight has. And
you're what now?
Yet I'm your most conservative friend.
Oh dear.
And yet I find myself here on the opposite side of this table. I don't think that anybody there. So here's the thing. There are a lot of points that have been made by Pastor Moss that are these are numbers and these are facts and these are anecdotal evidence, but a lot of them are given. We don't have enough time within 20 minutes to put them in context, as well as to put in the context of the lived reality of persons inside the Bahamas. It would be great if we could actually hear from somebody who either was involved with sex work or presently involved with sex work or an advocate for or against for sex work to hear what the arguments are in that regard. So I will refrain from, addressing several of the points that he made just now. But the fact that the penal code says that, anybody who's hanging around prostitutes or, living off of their ill-gotten gains, if you can't hang out with prostitutes and receive gifts from them, I mean, by those rules, Jesus would also be guilty. So context is everything. I think that this conversation needs more time as well as more voices in order for us to reach a fair consensus. Because as a man who's never had to sell his body to get food, I don't know if I can speak 100% fairly on it, even if I think that I'm speaking on behalf of somebody.
But I appreciate the comments, and we definitely we're making attempts, and perhaps we'll
imagine the stigma
soon.
behind it might also make it a bit difficult.
Perhaps. But I appreciate you all sharing your views and those who texted in. We couldn't get to all of the text messages and those who called. Pastor Cedric Moss, thank you so much for being part of this week. Great conversations. But thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome, Dwight. Thanks for having me.
Stephen, thank you as well. I know you have to run. We're going to take a break and be back with Morning Blend Business. A lot to get to in the business hour. Stay tuned for that, including, the royal visit. Should we be paying for that? Downtown Nassau and more. We'll be right back.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
And welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, March 18th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, and we're having a lot of interesting discussions on the show this week. And that's going to continue right now. I want to get your views on some of these other issues in the business world in the Bahamas, including the Deputy Prime Minister and Tourism Minister talking about downtown Nassau and what needs to happen, and also his address to Grand Bahama Business Outlook yesterday and what he's saying about Grand Bahama and the Grand Lucayan. We're going to get to that in a bit. But we want to talk about the royal family and the royal visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and William and Kate, their visit. And we talked about this a few weeks ago after hearing that Jamaica was not prepared to pay for their trip except for security purposes, per diem for security. We're wondering What about the Bahamas? What will be our position? Well, we heard yesterday, after all these weeks of asking, that we are paying for everything. And some big things are planned. Take a listen to this report from our Jared Higgs.
It is customary for the host country to absorb the cost. Accommodations, meals for the couple and the staff.
Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Governor General, Jack Thompson, was responding to whether or not the royal family would be contributing to the costs associated with their visit. The revelation bill comes nearly a month after a Jamaican cabinet minister told media there that the Jamaican government would not cover the cost for the royals' visit to that country and would only cover per diem for security personnel. While we know that we're paying for the visit, OPM Press Secretary Clinton Watson couldn't say how much it will cost.
I asked as well, and they're still waiting on a number of figures to come in, and so they don't have that figure for us. I wanted that figure today. They're still waiting on some other figures to come in before they can give that.
Ambassador to CARICOM, Leslie Miller-Bryce, and Permanent Secretary Thompson are coordinating the visit. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are expected in country March 24th to 26th. ACP Ken Strawn says members of the public can expect road closures. During the visit, the royals will head to Abaco to see the damage from Hurricane Dorian firsthand, before heading to Grand Bahama to visit the Children's Home and Coral Vita facility. On March 25th, the Duke and Duchess will visit the Sybil Strawn Primary School in Carmichael, where the children there will put on a performance for them. There's also a regatta planned.
You may not believe it, but they're going to compete against each other. The Duke and her in his vessel, she'll be in her sloop, and they're going at it. This is really spectacular.
Some social media paying for the trip. One Twitter user asked, "They can't afford it?" referring to the royal family. Another wrote, "Why? They should be paying the bill and leaving a hefty tip." But Thompson says the country will roll out the red carpet and the couple will be given all the courtesies.
Let me tell you, the Bahamian people will not be disappointed. And the Duke and Duchess will leave you with a wow. A wow.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I am Jared Higgs.
Well, I'm already saying wow. Wow. Folks, I mean, those of you who listen to the show know how I feel about this. If you don't know, I'll tell you in a bit. But let's hear what you have to say, right? Let's get your views on this. What do you make of this? We're paying for everything. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. What do you make of this, folks? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Morning again. I 2 points. I agree with the Deputy Prime Minister outlook for Bay Street and the outlook for Grand Bahama. I think Grand Bahama is poised to move on to a new beginning and a greater beginning if during the next during this next fiscal term. But in terms of paying for royalty, yes, they are our guests. Right? We lying in the Bahamas to treat our guests like kings. That's our custom. If you come to my house try and use a guest, I put on my best plate for you, my best glass for you, my best wine glass for you. I give you my room. That's the master room. You understand what I'm saying? Hello?
I hear you.
You disagree?
You know, if you invited Jeff Bezos, I don't know.
Oh, Jeff Bezos, I don't know.
No, Amazon, one of the richest men in the world.
Of
But
course,
okay.
I treat him like
Yeah.
I treat him like
Oh, okay. Well, I hear you. Okay.
That's our royal, okay? Let's treat our royal and they'll come
Or
back.
what now?
Yeah, treat our royal like a king and let them give him the best hospitality, right?
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Like a king when you go to England.
They won't. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it at all. That's part of my problem with it. But anyway, okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Okay. I can't, as we know, the Queen is still the head of state, right? So with that being in mind, and keeping in mind, when we had the disaster for the Dorian relief, they sent us all that we needed, but they sent a lot of support for it. So I don't really see a problem. They still if the Bahamas has I guess a military threat, that's what we have to rely on, those in the United States. So I think we still kind of obligated to them. So I don't see a problem with it. I really don't see a problem with it. Right? So I might be wrong. I know a lot of people disagree, but I don't see a problem with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like I say, I think they support us when in our times of need, so we can still extend that same courtesy for just a vacation or whatever they come to do. And the plus it looked good. You all have a nice day.
I'm not saying they shouldn't come. If they want to come, yeah. But should we pay for everything? It's one thing to throw a dinner for them. Yeah, this is a state reception, and we honor it. We treat you here. But for everything, that's the question today. That's what we're asking. Good morning, caller. What say you on this?
Good morning, Dwight. How you doing?
Doing well.
That's good. Dwight, I agree with you 150%. See, I must be born before my time. The last time the Queen of Shares out in 1992, I saw her personally at the government. And the Bimini people got to understand, we should be broke. But like I keep telling you all, Dwight, this country is not for the Bimini people. See, them people rich, they can never spend all their money. Now, I agree with the guy from Jamaica. People pay for security. But until this Moses coup, boy, we need to deal with the Moses coup. We need to go or you public. You see, on the caller before me, in America, but they're not Britain. Britain must be a billion miles away from here. America is the Bahamas' only white friend. Not even the big stupidest man's white man. And before people, come on, man. It's hard to stop.
Only some of us are tired. Clearly. Only some. But okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Listen, I agree with Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of who they are, doesn't entitle us to pay for them. Let them pay for themselves. If anything, we could do some meals for them, and we're taking them to the family island. And another thing, I'm trying to find out if their funds are coming out of the government travel funds that they have put aside, or what? Because at the end of the day, we have so much hungry people in this country.
Well,
we just getting out of COVID. We're trying to get our country back. We're trying to get jobs back, and they find money to pay for these persons to come here. I agree with Jamaica. Let them pay for themselves, and we could give them a trip to Abaco because we want them to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Or on Grand Bahama, but the rest of it, let them put that.
Okay.
That's only fair.
Thank you very
And
much.
They should reject us from doing such, going away to put that entire bill. They themselves should feel bad for doing that.
Yeah, when you take your friend out to dinner and they say, "No, I insist. I'll pay for myself. Don't worry about it." Or I'll pay for, right? They should do that. That would be great. Wouldn't that be great? Take a listen to this message before I take the other calls there. Someone says here, when celebrities are invited to a new club, the club covers all the expenses. They're considered influencers, lots of media attention. My concern is that we as a whole present for that level of media, is what we present for that level of media attention. And that's a great point, but this ain't a fancy new club. This is an old club with lots of broken down parts to it, and it needs help. It needs a great bit of help. So it's not quite the same. Not quite the same at all. But, good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And my 2 cents on the matter is, and I partially agree with JJ and the last caller from this point of view. When our government can have the heart to help and pay to keep Bahamians in their homes, all of those foreclosures that are out there, all of those people who've lost their homes, not owing to no fault of theirs, but because of hard times, when the government can help to pay to keep Bahamians in their homes so that our economy can, or those persons can catch themselves and our economy can hopefully catch itself, then I could see us considering paying for a full entire part, but not when the Bahamian people are in need. That's a misuse of money, and in my humble opinion, that is somewhat abuse of money, considering the fact that we can't afford it, and the royal family, the Queen alone, gets about $8 million a year. How much does the Duke and whomever else come in here, he and his wife, how much do they get per year? They can afford to pay for their trip. Show them the courtesies, yes. Treat them like royalty that they are, yes. But let them fit if only 50% of that bill. But unless and until we can treat our Bahamian people with the respect by helping us out when we are in need to the extent that we should, I cannot in principle support us paying that bill. Thank you, buddy.
Okay. All right. The calls are coming in. We'll get to your text messages in just a bit. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Dwight.
Hi.
Say, wow. Dwight, I can't wait to hear what your opinion is. Dwight, it just shows that the government could find money to do what they want to. You understand? When they want to do it. Now, listen, you know what is the sickening part about it? Now that we're saying we could pay for it, right? They supposed to have a budget for it. It's like they have an open check. What you mean? And I hear the press, Mr. Watson, saying something, but he tried to find it, but they ain't know what yet. They supposed to have a budget. They shouldn't have an open check because there's so much other important things. Like they say, people out there need help, and the government just showing themselves off when they should have them people then paying for whatsoever. I appreciate them coming and everything, but now we say we can pay for it. We should have a budget, man. You can't do that, Dwight. I can't wait to hear what you say. Wow.
I think you're hearing it already. But yes, I don't support this. Like a caller said, and some texters are saying, do what Jamaica's doing. We will make sure you're safe. And possibly, as I said earlier, throw a state dinner. But this is extreme. This is extreme. And man, oh man, I'm the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strachan.
Hi.
Are you prepared for what I'm about to say, right?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah, listen, the thing is, there's no hate with Harry and Kate, but, the thing
William
is, I'm
and
vexed
Kate.
because how our lives have become so pathetic, right? As a people, that we have this desire to see massa, right? And so the thing is, the stained brain, colonial brain subjects, right? They don't realize that we are being socially... See, if you're a godly person, I guess the way the world is set up as far as social stratification, it matters to some people, but I look at it from a godly perspective. These things doesn't even matter to me. So the fact that we are so contemptuous and disrespectful for one another, from government goes straight down to where we treat one another, that's what I have a problem at. Not about Kate and Harry. Something should be complimentary, but to facilitate the whole trip and talk about recognition, man, we already recognized for the type of nation we are, like we are, the people we are, And so the thing is, that when I look at the reason for this, and I don't like how we are being treated as far as even like, let's say, social services. When you look at other countries, in New York right now, they have like about almost, I can't remember, millions of people who fell back on their fuel, their energy payments, right? And they asking the government to pay for it. So what I'm saying is, we hate one another. So the fact that we are lionizing the royalty, right? When they say that the Queen is the head of state, but they say it's only nominal. So you know what that word means. So why is it that we have to facilitate this in a time of economic crisis, Dwight?
Interesting, yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the thing is, Dwight, we hate one another as a people, but we have this money to waste, not even just with this small visitation, right? But we as a people are lost, and we fighting the battle of insignificance. Listen to me, if the Pope, the Queen, or whoever passed on Blue Road, I wouldn't go look and see because it wouldn't do anything for me. It just shows how pathetic we are. We need to see these people to make me feel significant. That's because they have disenfranchised our history and our lives and obfuscated our history. For everyone, just read the Forgotten Monarchs of Europe and find out that we have all been duped. This is what it was, for us to lionize people. This is why they make people poor, so you can lionize the rich. Have a good day, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's read a couple messages and we'll get to those calls. This person says here, independence is a farce. Well, that's a whole other show, I think. This one says here, I'm just wondering, did we ask the royals to come here? What did they decide that they wanted to come here for, and that we have to foot the bill? Who initiated this visit? All right, so they're doing a West Indian tour, Caribbean tour, to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. She's been the Queen for 250 years. No, so they're doing this tour, and this is part of the tour. Now, it was also mentioned earlier that they'd be coming. So I think somebody's coming for the 50th anniversary of our independence. I don't know if this is the same trip, but that wouldn't make. Why would you come the same trip? But that's next year. But sure. All right. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Morning, Brad.
Hi. Good morning.
Let me ask you a question. Does the Bahamas pay the royals attacks?
I hope to God not. I don't.
And
Who knows? You can't swear for anything around here. That would be. It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't. I have no. Oh gosh, my goodness.
Right.
Ugh.
And did the Royals do anything after the Dorian situation for the Bahamas?
It wouldn't be them. It would be the government of the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And they definitely did assist. They definitely did.
They assisted?
Yeah, the government of the United Kingdom, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is the show that Mr. Thompson is saying that they're going to put on that's going to be such a wow? Day performance?
I don't know if he was talking about the regatta part or just everything. Everything in general is going to be amazing.
And a wow.
And a wow.
You know, for a country that always complains that we don't have the money, we always find the money to facilitate as a government whatever it is we feel, whatever it is they feel that they should participate in. I think this is wrong. I totally think this is wrong, and I totally disagree with it. The people that are calling that agree with this, if it was another party in place, they definitely would have been against this. The government should be taking up the tab to every bit of this visit. I disapprove of it.
Okay, all right, interesting. Let's take another call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Good morning, guys. How are you all this morning?
Doing well.
Who is the head of state of England?
The Queen.
And who was coming to the Bahamas?
The second in line to the throne.
Okay, listen. You know what's the meaning of head of state?
I do.
Okay. Didn't the England helped us the other day during the hurricane? They even sent the Royal Navy ships here, and they were here for a while, right? And they worked on the ground in Abaco, right?
Okay.
Okay. So you're saying to me now, the royal family been coming here for many, many, many years. Nobody had a problem with it.
Are you
now
sure?
That,
Are you
because
sure?
we were in the pandemic and during.
Are you sure nobody had a problem?
If somebody had a problem, nobody never spoke
That's
out
not
about
true.
it.
Many have been. Many don't want to be a part. Many don't want a queen. Many don't want.
Dwight, to be honest with you, right? I think we need to go to Republic also. But going to Republic, it's going to take some time. That's not going to happen overnight. First, you have to educate the people for at least 3 to 5 years on how we're going to go about getting to be a republic and what type of republic system we're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we just can't just talk about a republic system without educating the people what a republic system is all about. Because
Totally agree.
There are many, many republic systems.
Yes, you're
all
right.
don't work. Okay, certain countries in the Caribbean right now are republic and it's not working for them. Look at Haiti. Haiti is a republic. Is it working for Haiti? We have to be very careful when we say we want something. We have to know
But that's
exactly
not fair.
what we want.
There are all kinds of other reasons why Haiti
Yes,
is
but I'm saying
not
to you
working. Nothing to do with them being a republic.
I don't see a problem with us housing the royal family. Actually, it's only 2 members of the family and their team, right? Additionally, no, in budgets, they have miscellaneous items. So why can't we use some of the miscellaneous funds and do what we got to do? Because guess what? They respected us the other day. They came all the way thousands of miles to help us. So during Doreen, we shouldn't have a problem hosting them just for actually not even 5 days.
Again,
Come on, man. It can't cost that much. Have a nice day.
Guarantee you that William, Kate, Elizabeth, that had nothing to do with that. It's the government, the prime minister, and the cabinet, and the government of the United Kingdom. But sure. Thank you very much for your call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Dwight.
Hi.
The thing is, what that brother doesn't realize, when those guys go in the House of Assembly, they go as the Queen is head of state, the crown. Okay. The other thing is, our duty is to protect them. You see, these people are so wrong. The thing is, here it is, we be starving. Okay. The only person came to our rescue by feeding us was the American. Okay. Now the thing is, those guys would go to the House of Assembly. I hope they pay those children what they're going to have, dancing and stuff like that. Those people got to quit kiting around with the Bahamian people. They're jiving.
Who are the people? You mean us?
No. Those who are in authority, the government and those, they got to stop kiting around.
Us.
Because they think they can put anything down our throat. They starve us. They don't give us good health. And when it comes to what they want to do, they always find money to do it. And also, we got to pay it back. We the poor, black, Bahamian people, or we are the Bahamian people, but we got to pay it back.
All right, thank you very much. Let's read some messages as we get ready to go to a break. Someone says here, we're still suffering from the yes massa mentality. We would accept them as tourists. Yes. I don't think we should be paying for them to come here. Right now, I can only think of all the civil servants who've been waiting for years for their monies, and this is what they're wasting our funds on. Dwight, they are not the two who have disconnected themselves from the family. Are they not the two? No. This is William and Kate. William, the future king of England and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And Kate. No, not Harry and Meghan. All right. This one says here, morning, this is what happens when you have people over 70 running the country. The upside is some roads will be paved and dingy buildings will be painted. Things that they will never do for us. Blowing our money on these people that are pure takers. Wow. Are they going to pave the roads? They don't have much time. This one says, they're the royals. They have money. They can get themselves in the country. We can afford to move them to Abaco, Grand Bahama, etc. once they're here. But again, the country is in a bad state, and we should be separating from the monarchy anyways. That's a text. This person says here, I think we should show the royals respect and show them a respectful Bahamas. We always want help from other allies and look to them when we want protection. But when it comes to gratitude and respecting our history, it all boils down to what they can give us. We have our country in the state it is. We have our country in the state it is. Apples and oranges, respect history. We have our country in the state it is. Yeah. But also, I think a flawed foundation that could have, right? Had that foundation been more solid, higher off the gutter, the ground, we could have been much further along. So there's enough blame all around. This one says here, if the royal family decides to visit 10 times a year, do we pay for it every time? Or what if they wanted to stay for 2 weeks? They would really be considerate to the fact that they have invited themselves. They should really be considerate to the fact they invited themselves. Okay. Another one here. Dwight, the royals have much nerve to come visit on our time in hard times. I don't think the government should be entertaining them. So when our people are in dire straits, especially when our people are in dire straits, in my opinion. Okay, another one here. I don't think we should pay for this trip. They are rich, and the government wants the poor man to foot the bill. I'm sure they could pay for themselves. I think there are ways to steal what now? Okay, and what do you think some of the notorious callers I'm editing would have said if the FNM was in power and allowed this? This text here, good morning from Grand Bahama. If they are royals and they're coming to view the damage on Grand Bahama, what help are they bringing us? Well, I guess you'll find out. This one says here, Dwight, how will we assess the wow? Does it matter what font we print it in? And if you use blue versus orange ink, will we get more value for money out of the wow? I have never heard such foolishness in my life. Who are these jokey people we're putting in charge of everything? Well, okay, let's take a break. When we come back, a little more on this, and I do want to get to what Chester Cooper's saying about downtown Nassau. What will come out of this posed with the owners there? Stay with us. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio.
Sometimes getting a mortgage can feel overwhelming and like no one is listening.
With RBC by your side, moving your mortgage can be stress-free. Switch your mortgage to RBC and get more cash in hand, plus benefit from reduced rates, flexible terms, and the convenience of knowing we'll meet you almost anywhere. Pre-qualify to see what you can afford. Switch to rbc.com/Caribbean/mortgage switch. Limited time offer.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
The Water and Sewage Corporation advises its customers in New Providence and the Family Islands that the corporation will commence mass disconnections beginning Monday, March 28, 2022, on all outstanding accounts and financial agreements. Customers who have not honored their financial agreements are advised to visit their local offices to update those agreements as soon as possible. And all customers are further advised to bring their accounts up to date to avoid the disconnection of their water and sewage services without further notice.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The government is seeking to complete the sale of the Grand Loop April. Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Tourism and Aviation and Investments Chester Cooper making that announcement yesterday, saying that after the month-long request for proposals process, which closed earlier this month, the government has invited 5 of the top bidders to present their ideas to the Lucayan Renewal Holdings Board this weekend on how to transform and redevelop the 740-room resort. Read more on this story in today's Guardian business section. More from Grand Bahama. Carnival Cruise Line will break ground on its $170 million cruise port development this May. Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, revealing that yesterday during the 23rd Annual Grand Bahama Business Outlook. In September 2019, Carnival signed a heads of agreement with the government for the development of a new port on the island. However, the COVID pandemic delayed progress on the project, and the Minutes administration stalled in approving environmental permits needed to move it forward. Those permits were approved shortly after the Davis administration gained governance last September. And there are several major transformational projects in the pipeline for Grand Bahama and Freeport specifically, outside of the 2 major tourism-based projects announced by the government. That's according to Chief Investment Officer with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, Derek Newbold. He was also speaking at Grand Bahama Business Outlook, saying that there has been a 20% increase in business licenses granted through the GBPA over the past few years, adding that the port is in the process of approving new and innovative businesses that will transform the island. And the Bahamas has improved from its abysmal ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, score of 32.17% to 63.2%, according to Tourism Minister Chester Cooper. The ICAO audits the aviation safety and security oversight capacities of its 193 member state in 2017 resulted in poor scores across several safety assessments where deficiencies were found. Meanwhile, the draft report of an ICAO mission to the Bahamas in November-December of last year, showing that the Universal Safety Oversight Audit Program of the Civil Aviation System of the Bahamas generated an overall effective implementation of the state's safety oversight system, and a great improvement. You can read more about that in today's Guardian business section as well. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Thursday, your market movers: Fidelity Bank moving 3,125 shares, unchanged at $15. Consolidated Water up 3 cents, closing at $2.06. Emera Incorporated up 8 cents, closing at $11.65. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,251.31, up 0.09. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report. Brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Just got a few more of your text messages coming in about the royal trip here. Somebody says on our text line, hope these same people don't complain if the UK fails to come to our aid in a time of crisis. Never heard such outrage when the British royals came here in the past. Well, Texter, the baby people have changed and are maturing, and many, many more, maybe not the majority, but many, many more are really questioning why we would have a king or a queen and why we are part of the British monarchy still, and looking back at what was done and what was not done by the British monarchy in the past, as I mentioned before, about setting us up in a way where we could more easily function as a country instead of being dependent on others for our future. But so things are changing, and people are not all going to sit back and say, "Oh, look, it's the Queen, it's the King." No, especially when there is no path to any of us becoming king or queen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so that's a bitter pill for many people to swallow, and has people questioning the nonsense that has been done before. So just saying. All right, I do want to get to downtown Nassau very quickly, and Chester Cooper, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, talking about the state of downtown Nassau and what he is. Take a listen to this report from our Tashina Robinson.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper expressing his dissatisfaction with the state of downtown Nassau. He spoke in Parliament today during the mid-year budget debate.
While there is no question that the new cruise port will greatly enhance downtown with more than $200 billion investments, we are by no means satisfied with the state of downtown. To put it frankly, much of it is an eyesore, and the old world charm that we have tried to preserve for decades has been lost amongst the dilapidated buildings and the lack of proper structure and the lack of city management.
The tourism minister is expected to meet with downtown property owners next week to discuss the way forward.
All right, that's all we heard about Tashina Robinson with that report there. That's all we heard. They're going to meet, discuss the way forward. What does that mean? Interesting words that Chester Cooper used there. City management, or lack of city management. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a city manager. We don't have a system in place for this. We don't have local government for any part of New Providence at all. And this will continue to happen. This will continue to address that as soon as possible. But we keep saying, we've been saying this for years, that we have to have a plan. You cannot leave it up to the owners of these properties. You cannot leave it up to foreign investors to decide what should be the way forward for downtown Nassau. We have to come up with the plan. Do you do a design district here? Do you do an art district there? What is it that needs to happen? We have to decide what it is, and quickly. But we will be paying attention, definitely. Let's do a very final look at weather for today. And in your final look at weather, high pressure generating moderate to fresh winds as it drifts eastwards across the country. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should be alert for rip currents along East Coast beaches. We're looking at partly mostly sunny and hot conditions today with isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight with passing showers. For your weekend, that high pressure will continue to migrate east across the Atlantic ahead of a frontal boundary that will enter the northwest Bahamas by Sunday. So for tomorrow, Saturday, partly to mostly sunny, breezy, hot with isolated showers. Sunday, partly cloudy to cloudy, hot with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms in the northwestern Bahamas and especially near the front. Partly mostly sunny and breezy with isolated showers elsewhere. That's your weekend weather outlook. That's your Morning Blend weather check. And that is Friday for Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business. I got to leave you with this text message, though. This person says here, bring them, this is the Royals, tell them to bring them to a route that covers Carmichael Road, Gladstone Road, East Street, and out east so that those roads can finally be paved. Yeah, we got to park them on Village Road because I don't know what's happening there. Just park them there, and then maybe it'll get magically fixed. But hey, that's it for us. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great, safe weekend. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.